Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another PC Boiz Podcast. I am your host, Logan Locke. So today we have a very long episode, a lot to get into, but of course, before we get started, I will have the link tree in the description down below. Please join our Discord and Twitter, as that is where I am mainly posting stuff and or active. So those are the two best social medias to get connected with. But without further ado, let's get into today's podcast. So, we're going to be starting off with a double Daredevil review for episodes 7 and 8. And then I will be going into the CinemaCon news that I have missed over the past week and giving my thoughts on all of that. But let's start off with Daredevil. So episode 7 of Daredevil is a very interesting bag for me because it is definitely one of the better episodes of the season. But the way that they handled Muse in this episode is quite frankly sad. Spoiler alert, I mean, it's been out for about a week now. Muse gets killed. And Muse dying literally after having a whole episode of him finally being, you know, in it for a good amount of time. I don't really count episode 4 where he was introduced per se in his outfit, even though he was in the first 2 episodes very briefly. He didn't really fully get introduced until episode 6, and then in episode 7 they kill him. And it's really interesting that they try to speed track his whole entire character arc and story in literally one episode through a therapy session. And my other gripe is it feels like that Heather and Muse have been having multiple therapy sessions, but yet we don't see it. And that's a big problem with this show. A lot of tell but don't show. And it's the same thing with other characters like Cherry and McDuffie, where we see them interacting with Matt and acting like friends and having this chemistry and stuff, but we don't see that build like we did with Karen and Foggy in the original series on Netflix. And it's a big issue that the series struggles with, where we see a lot of these characters and they're ultimately in a position where we basically are told the backstory and how everything connects and how all the relationships are instead of showing us the development. It's a big problem for the show. Now, episode 7 has good action, and it's a very intense episode, especially with Muse, and Heather, and, being on the verge of, her dying. And it's very well done. I think Muse was portrayed very well, and I was very happy with that scene. Everything else, though, kind of just felt meh still, and it's very interesting that one portion of the show with Heather and Muse, and then when Daredevil comes in, was very well done, but the rest of it was kind of a little wonky. Especially with, Matt Murdock going to Muse's hideout, knocking out Powell, and putting his hands on drawings, as if the police couldn't track down, or this task force couldn't track down whose handprints those are. So, yeah, and the fact that he can tell it's Heather's face on a painting, or Muse's drawings or whatever. To me, that seems a little far-fetched. Even though he can read Braille and stuff like that, we're talking about brushstrokes here. So, it's a little odd. So for me personally, episode 7's a mixed bag. I like portions of it, and then other parts of it, I don't. And that's kind of been a key thing I've noticed over the past, few episodes. Because basically since episode 4, this series has been very wonky. Episode 1 was okay. It was on the better side, right? Episodes 2 and 3 were amazing. Episode 4 was okay. Episode 5 I hated. Episode 6 was okay. Episode 7, pretty solid. I would say, definitely on the better end. Episode 8. Apparently this is where, all the reshoot stuff really comes into play. Episode 8, in terms of drama and the writing, is the best that we've had since episodes 2 and 3. By far. I mean, it's not even comparable. Also in this episode, everything that happens in this episode is streamlined. I don't feel like I'm doing a side quest with 5 characters with 50 different stories going on. It feels streamlined. Very much like the Netflix series did. And the Bullseye stuff in episode 8 was phenomenal, dude. I mean, It's absolutely crazy how they did like the teeth scene and the prison break and stuff. But my major issue with this episode is that, number one, the action's minimal. There is some action in here with Bullseye, but I mean, there's not a lot, right? No Daredevil action especially, and you know, we've already waited most of the season to see Daredevil. So my expectation was to see some kind of Daredevil in this episode, even just a little bit. And obviously, next week we get the grand finale, so there'll be plenty of action next week, I'm sure. But in this episode, we see Bullseye break out. We get the revelation that Vanessa is the one that actually ordered Foggy dead from Bullseye. My question is, why did Bullseye agree to work for Vanessa? For those of you that have not watched Daredevil Season 3, in that whole, finale of Season 3, Fisk basically used Bullseye to get what he needed to get done, and Bullseye then went to kill Fisk and Vanessa in their penthouse, and Matt stopped them. And all of a sudden, we're supposed to believe that Bullseye takes a hit for Vanessa. Or a hit job from Vanessa. How does that happen? What, he just ended up forgiving Fisk for breaking his back in the Season 3 finale? It's like a revelation. It's like, oh wow, we know why Foggy died and who ordered it. But at the same time, the question arises, why would she choose the one guy that tried to kill her and her husband? That most likely has a grudge against him. That one's shocking. And then in this episode, we get Bullseye breaking out of prison to literally go and assassinate Vanessa and Fisk. Okay? And in that, it's kind of like, so wait a minute. You go to assassinate Fisk and Vanessa. And that's because you went to jail and you were sent to general population, which pretty much would have led to Bullseye's death, especially since his arms were, basically chained up in a straight vest kind of thing. And he goes after revenge for that, but not for what was done to him in Season 3. Seems very weird to kind of retread some old ground in that way. And for me, I was not a fan of that. I was not a fan of that. That, for me, was lazy writing and terrible writing. Because it goes to show there's a lack of logic in Bullseye's character to accepting a hit job from the woman that you tried to kill in the prior season and her husband. And her husband broke your back and you're working for them on this job. To me, doesn't make sense. But anyways, Bullseye goes, tries to assassinate her, and Matt takes the bullet. Okay? And that's where the episode leaves off. So we get a revelation as to who is behind Foggy's death. Matt takes a bullet, but we know he's going to come back as Daredevil with the Punisher. And I predicted Punisher would be in episode 9. And of course, I'm right. And that's when those two are going to team up. So Matt takes the bullet. Fisk and Vanessa are rushed away by the, anti-vigilante task force. And I don't know what's going to happen with Bullseye from here. So, will he die? Will he escape? Get a new suit? No idea. But my whole point with episode 8 is while some of the writing is really good, we get to see the vigilante task force actually being brutal and doing the quote-unquote not police officer stuff. We also see BB is clearly, she knows that Fisk was, because that's been one of the things this whole time is oh, she doesn't know about Fisk that killed her uncle. No, apparently she does know about Fisk being the main suspect in her uncle's murder case, and that she's doing all this and being close to all this, acting naive, so that way she can take Fisk down via her journalism, but writing stories not underneath her name. And kind of using Daniel to get on the inside. So it makes sense for her character, but it's also another revelation that we get in this series that's oh, okay, so she is aware of this stuff. And Heather is still blind as a bat, somehow not knowing that Matt is Daredevil. Don't know how she hasn't picked up on that yet. And honestly, as a character, I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't care about Heather Glenn. I don't like this character at all. We are literally at the very end of the season, and I don't like her. There's nothing they could do in one episode to turn me around to liking her. Karen is superior to her character in every way. Sure, Karen and Matt had fights and, butted heads, but they both cared about each other. There was reasoning behind their battling. It's kind of sad that Karen literally has been gone all season since episode 1. It's so... You can feel the emptiness. We did get to see Josie, though, so that was really nice. It was very unexpected to see her again, but it was nice to see her again. Bringing more of that Netflix feel back. Having that scene in the bar. And Matt realizing that Foggy was celebrating the win on his case because he knew he was going to get it, and that's why someone had him killed. And... episode 8, like I said, had a lot of good writing to it, but just the one thing that I didn't like about episode 8, and it's very simple. I'm not even gonna harp on the action stuff because, the writing was pretty good. But Bullseye's motivation, like I said, makes no sense. Bullseye should be wanting to kill Vanessa and Fisk, all the time, based upon the season 3 finale events. And the fact that he's working for Vanessa, or did work with Vanessa to kill Foggy, goes to show there's a lack in that character logic there. Unless he had some amnesia when he broke his back, but that was not alluded to. So, with that being said, where do I rank Daredevil episode 7 and 8? If I had to give them a number, right? Episode 7, I think is a solid 7. It's good. Not great. Good. Episode 8, I would give it a 7.5. But the reason it could not reach an 8 or a 9 is simply that Bullseye logic is terrible. The rest of the writing of that episode was relatively good. But the Bullseye plot point really bothered me because it made no sense. But... without further ado, though, we're going to segment from the Daredevil reviews to the CinemaCon announcements. Now, this is honestly really exciting because while there was a lot announced at CinemaCon, I obviously chose the things that I was excited about and that I'm interested in. So let's get started with 2 big announcements. Spider-Man 4 is coming at us July 31st of 2026. Going to be my birthday present that year. I love the logo. Very comic book. Obviously, they ended up keeping the sub logo with the No Way Home, Homecoming font, which is fine. And there's a lot of good news coming out about Spider-Man 4 so far that I'm hearing. We know Sadie Sink is casted, but we don't know as who. We know that there's a female villain in the movie that's going to be introduced, and they're looking for somebody to play her. And now they're looking for a male villain as well, who is supposed to be about middle age and Asian, probably Mr. Negative. That's what a lot of the assumptions are to who that character could be. So there's a lot of good news here. A lot of good news about Brand New Day, and I'm excited. However, I am still pissed off about no Scorpion. Guys, we have had Scorpion in prison since Homecoming. Can you at least use him in this movie? I mean, he doesn't have to be the big bad, but can we at least, follow up on that? Because I'd like to see Scorpion on the big screen. I don't know about you guys. And then we got our second Spider-Man announcement that Beyond the Spider-Verse is coming to theaters June 4th of 2027. That's awesome. Finally, we get a release date for one of the most anticipated movies left on a cliffhanger. And we were kind of in limbo for a while. Not to mention the whole Shamik Moore stuff that was going on. That's its own thing. I'm not going to go into that. But that's awesome. So we finally know when the 2 Spider-Man movies, at least at this moment in time, are slated to come. I'm glad to see Spider-Man getting a summer release date again, because going to see it during Christmas time, while No Way Home was an event and kind of a Christmas present in and of itself as a film, I probably would not go watch a ground level Spider-Man movie in the middle of the winter. I would prefer to watch that during the summertime. So I'm very excited about that. So, Another big announcement, and this one was a surprise to me. This one got me really giddy. We are getting Predator Badlands on November 5th, I believe. November 7th, my bad. Of this year. We haven't gotten a trailer. I knew they were working on another Predator movie. Dan Trachtenberg, the director of Prey, which I really like. Definitely that movie is my number 2 favorite Predator film of all time, behind the original. And Predator Badlands is doing something very different. Predator Badlands is going to be us following a predator who was disowned by his clan, and he's sent on a hunt to regain his honor. Basically fighting like some kaiju unkillable alien. And I'm so excited about it. This is new for the Predator franchise. And we know that there's going to be like a cyborg human lady in the movie. But the fact that the Predator is going to be a protagonist and we're going to follow his story on this hunt is awesome. The Predator community, including myself, have been clamoring for something like this for a long time. Seeing the Predators hunt other alien species is one of the coolest things ever. We got a little bit of a taste of that in Predators, but not really. Because there was like one other alien introduced in that movie on a hunting ground, and outside of that one little alien that was ultimately killed by the human cast, we didn't get anything else like that. So this is a big W for the Predator community, and I'm actually excited to see this. I am excited to finally see a Predator movie do something different and breaking the mold. Even in the Alien franchise, Alien's broken the mold. Alien Romulus did things a little bit differently. Prometheus, Covenant, they did things a little different to the Alien lore. For better or for worse, they still try something new, but for Predator, this is big. I could get used to watching Predators. The nice thing and the awesome thing about Predator, the Predator lore is, you literally can follow multiple Predators. You can follow Predators that are on hunts, that are a part of honorable tribes. You can do the Bad Bloods. You can do all, like, there's so many tribes. You could do the Xenomorph, hunting Predators. Like, there's so many stories you can tell with the Predator. Following different Predators with different honor codes or lack thereof, and their methods and what they used to hunt, what their culture is like between all these different clans. You could even do a Predator Civil War movie, because there are civil wars that take place between clans. So there's a lot you can do with the Predator franchise that's unexplored. And this is one of those things that us in the community have wanted for a while. And as you can see here on the picture, this is the first look that we have at the Predator of the movie, but he's kind of got like a cloak shrouding his head and stuff, which I think is interesting. A little bit of a different look, but I'm so excited. Predator Badlands is up there on my anticipated movies of the year. And then, of course, we got the trailer for Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Now, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a very interesting situation for me because I loved the first movie. I thought it was great. I loved the video games back in middle school. And, I'm always going to love Five Nights at Freddy's, but I don't play the games anymore. I'm just, I'm kind of old. I go back and play them once in a blue moon if I want a little jump scare game or if I'm kind of lazy to play like an actual video game. But the movies breathes a whole new life into the franchise. The major issue that I have with this is, well, we're not going what it looks like to be the original, well, not the original location, but the location from the second game. So for those of you that haven't played Five Nights at Freddy's, at least the original games, the second game takes place in the 80s, if I'm correct, like 86 or something, and then the first game takes place in the 90s. So it's technically a prequel game. And while the designs of all of the animatronics in Five Nights at Freddy's 2 are the toy animatronics from the second game, Mangle, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Toy Freddy, the movie does not look like it's taking place in a pizzeria. Matter of fact, it looks like it's going to be anywhere but the pizzeria, or any kind of pizzeria. So it looks like it's going to be a movie with Mike Schmidt, his sister being a little older. Gosh darn it, I forgot what her name is, but the female cop protagonist, and we're essentially going to see the animatronics out and about in the real world, not inside of any pizzeria, which is interesting to me. My only concern, because I think it's a cool idea, there's definitely, because the thing with the movies it's not following the game lore, and the Five Nights at Freddy's lore is pretty extensive, and there's a lot of theories that are thrown in there to, for some of the gaps that we don't have answers to this day. And the first movie relatively followed something similar to the first game, in a way. It took place in a pizzeria with the OG animatronics. You had the, the Five Nights thing, and things got progressively weirder as the nights go on and stuff. But it wasn't the same as the game. You didn't have the power management. You didn't have the lights and the 2 doors and stuff. And you introduced new characters to the franchise, such as William Afton's daughter and Mike's sister. So there's all that. That was introduced, and that allows them to tell an original story while keeping elements from the game that people loved. But this movie looks like they're actually going to be doing something very different. I could be wrong. Maybe there is a second location that they're going to go to in this movie, but I doubt it. But if it happens, hey, cool. I'm all down for it. But at the end of the day, it looks good. I'm excited. And the fact that they can actually tell some original stuff is really nice. But I don't know exactly what the story is going to be, which is exciting and scary at the same time. But I think it can very well be very good. I think it can be very, very well. But yeah, so that's a little teaser trailer that we got about Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which comes out this December. Funny how we get a Five Nights at Freddy's trailer before a Predator trailer, and Predator comes out earlier, but anyways. And then, of course, Marvel Studios had a little bit of a teaser that they did, or another trailer, the other day in regards to the Thunderbolts, mainly observing the Void, and who's the main villain, technically, of the movie. It's Sentry, but the Void is the alternate ego that's in control, making people disappear, etc. But yeah, anyways, that's really all I have to talk about. There was a 28 years later, thing going on at CinemaCon, but the main issue is, I'm not going to talk about it because I haven't seen any stuff about it. All that I heard from John Campea is that the trailer that was seen there was creepier than the first trailer, which has me excited because that's pretty hard to beat. First trailer is pretty creepy. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed, hopefully maybe you learned something new that you didn't know that was coming down the pipeline here this year. Dude, this year is so jam-packed for movies for me, it's not even funny, okay? I've only seen one out of the many movies I have coming this year that I'm excited for, because we got Thunderbolts, right, in May, 28 years later in June, Superman in July, Fantastic Four in July, we got Predator Badlands in November, Five Nights at Freddy's in December. So a lot of my year is jam-packed with films already. Okay? And more to join the fray. I know there's another Final Destination movie. I like the Final Destinations. I wouldn't say I'm like a super fan or anything, but I definitely would like to watch a Final Destination movie, 100%. But yeah, ultimately, I'm really excited. There's so much good stuff going on right now. There's even a new Predator series that had so there's a Predator series coming to Hulu that dropped a trailer yesterday. Dan Trachtenberg also did this. And this is another great thing. So there's a Predator animated series coming called Predator Killer of Killers. And essentially it is a anthology of the Predators hunting down humans throughout different eras in history. So like the greatest warriors throughout history. There's one in like feudal Japan. There's one with Vikings. There's one from World War II. And it's like, dude, this is what we've all been wanting to see, is the Predators hunting human warriors throughout different periods of time and different cultures. So I'm really excited to see that series when it comes out in June this summer. I got another series to look forward to. I have not bought Hulu in a long time. I haven't bought Hulu since Prey came out way back, like, probably 4 years ago at this point or something like that. So I can't wait to watch that on Hulu. That'll be my next subscription purchase of the year to watch. But, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I'll catch you all in the next one. God bless.